Hey guys, I have been labor sitting for days for a young mama. I'm going to call her Stacy. Now, Stacy's pregnant with her second baby, and this is going to be her first home birth. Her last pregnancy was very similar. She went into labor around 38 weeks. Stacy is just shy of 38 weeks now and feeling some symptoms which are very similar to labor. However, we still are yet to have a baby. Now, there is something that many people have a lot of different and mixed information about, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. It's called prodromal labor. Let's jump into this. Now, if we look at labor like a spectrum, it would start off with Braxton Hicks. Braxton Hicks are where your belly tightens and gets tense without any kind of discomfort. Then we have false labor, pre-labor, prodromal labor, early labor, active labor, transition, pushing, and then baby. So prodromal labor is often said to be contractions that are sporadic that cause no change to the cervix. However, I find that not to be true. Dr. Lauren Keller of BirthFit calls prodromal labor an emotional roller coaster. She says it's the little boy who cried wolf of labor, and I 100% agree with that. Now, if we said that prodromal labor was false labor pains, basically that cause no change, I would argue that that is inaccurate. For instance, my client Stacy is currently over 5 centimeters dilated, and I would say 80% effaced. Effacement is the shortening of the cervix and the thinning of the cervix from over here, which is like a round little donut shape, to flat and thin like above me. Here is a rundown of different types of labor type feelings that you can feel during pregnancy. Braxton Hicks, of course, also known as practice or false labor contractions. Braxton Hicks generally begin in the third trimester, and they're literally just tightening, tensing of the belly with no pain. Prodromal labor is a precursor to fully active labor. Prodromal labor starts sometimes around the same time each day and stops at regular intervals. Stacy, my client, had contractions 2 minutes apart that she had to stop and work through for several hours before she called me. And I went over there and we spent 2 days waiting for labor to fully initiate. Upon examination, she was nearly 7 centimeters and 80%, 90% effaced, I would say. And really, I was waiting. We thought that this baby was coming. Early labor refers to a stage where the cervix enlarges or stretches, opens to between 0 and 6 centimeters. And Stacy is over 6 centimeters right now. Mind-boggling, right? Active labor is the time when the contractions become more pronounced and more painful, and that is from 6 to 10 centimeters dilation. It can be really aggravating and distressing for women to experience prodromal labor. It's like, is it time? How about now? What about now? Am I crazy? You know, they can spend days or weeks experiencing these very real contractions that start and stop. However, I have some different things that I want to recommend if you are experiencing prodromal labor. So, if you are experiencing prodromal labor, remember that your body isn't stupid. So, In my experience, when I've had prodromal labor personally, and when I've had clients who, like Stacy, are experiencing prodromal labor, even though it can be really frustrating and exhausting and confusing, it typically leads to a very quick and precipitous and easy birth. I believe that prodromal labor is the body's way of getting the baby into a better position and, helping the mom to have an easy birth. Maybe we're all supposed to experience prodromal labor. Please excuse the noise in the background. My kids are outside playing in the hose. But I feel like even though it's made to be a negative thing and some people say it's just a pointless thing that your body does, I don't believe that. I think that if you're experiencing prodromal labor, you should count yourself lucky. Another thing I have to say is even though it's tempting to head to the hospital or to call the midwife, if you're experiencing prodromal labor, I highly recommend that you wait until you are definitely in labor to call your midwife or head to the hospital, because that is going to decrease your chances of having interventions that you may not want. My client Stacy, who I've been mentioning, had similar symptoms with her first baby. She had a birth center birth at a hospital led birth center with her first baby, and during that labor, she basically stalled at 6 centimeters, which, now knowing her history and seeing what she's doing now, I believe was prodromal labor as well. Now, when she got to that point and she stopped having contractions for nearly 6 hours, they gave her an ultimatum. You can have Pitocin and transfer into the hospital, or if you want to achieve your birth center water birth that you had planned, we have to break your water. Yeah. So, of course, she elected to have her water broken, and things picked up from there. But imagine if she would have waited and stayed at home a little longer. Her baby probably would have been born within a few days to a week from then. And breaking women's waters is one of the things that I try to do very minimally and only if very necessary. So any interventions can lead to issues. So if you want to avoid unnecessary interventions or any interventions at all during your birth, and you are experiencing symptoms like these, I would recommend, like I said, waiting until your contractions are close together, 2 to 3 minutes apart, and they are getting stronger, lasting longer, and coming close together, and you really know that you are in labor. They're not sporadic, they're not, light and crampy feeling. They're the real deal. Now, if you have any other questions about prodromal labor or any other pregnancy or birth related topics, I would be happy to answer them. As always, thank you for watching, and namaste.